Hello and welcome to One Foot In. My name is Juliana and this is my paranormal channel. Now there are a lot of paranormal channels out there, I know. Mine's a little different. I live in a world with 1 foot in the real world and 1 foot in the world of the paranormal. And for me, the paranormal is anything that cannot be explained by science or the obvious. Now, last night we watched a film on YouTube called What They Don't Want You to Know. The movie about what they don't want you to know about UFOs. And it was a scientist who was debunking some very famous UFO experiences, documented cases, specifically Rendlesham Forest, former President Jimmy Carter, may he rest in peace, and his UFO experience, and a couple of others. Of course, they can't touch, they can't even make a dent in examining all of the UFO experiences from all of the UFO experiencers in the world throughout time. And there is not a scientific explanation for everything. Now, scientists, and this particular guy, although highly educated and very good at his job, he was quite absolute and one-sided with his information. Not to say that it's not pertinent information, not to say that he wasn't spot on with the debunking of the cases that he reviewed. However, wouldn't life be really dull if we didn't have unexplained experiences, UFOs, ETs, ghosts? Wouldn't life be really not even worth living if we didn't have magical thinking to play with? Religion, could you imagine if science took over? There would be no religion whatsoever. And faith is so important. It's what guides so many people every moment of every day of their lives. So when I listen with an open mind, and what I took away from the film was that given the information and evidence that science has right now today, they can say for sure that there aren't any aliens and there's no way that there could be aliens. But they don't know that. They're just basing it off of what today has to show them. They live in a static vacuum of a box that tells them that if it can't be proven, it's nonsense. And that's nonsense. There's no way that they could possibly explain away a 4-5-year-old girl's UFO experiences in the very early 60s by herself without any outside influences or people to get in the way or tell her what to say. 58 years later, there's no science that can say, I was crazy or I lost my mind or anything like that. I was seeing things. They can't, because they don't have all of the answers. So when we go into paranormal investigations, or we interview individuals who have had abduction experiences or ET experiences, we believe absolutely, without a doubt, that they have experienced something. Is it ETs? Well, we may or may not ever know. But if that is their reference point, if that is what their perception is telling them, what I experienced was nuts, but I believe it to be ETs, because that's what it appeared to be. What I know about ETs, for example, what we know about demons, what we know about ghosts, what we know about all of these elements of the paranormal and the unexplained. So to discount everybody's experience, every human being's experience from the beginning of humanity onward, is ludicrous. And I think that if I were faced with that scientist or a group of scientists, I would caution them to not close themselves off to the unseen, the unexplainable, because they don't have all of the answers. The one thing I always try to tell Douglas in particular, because he's my human and I'm with him 24/7. When he's watching YouTube videos of conspiracy theorists and unvetted YouTube podcasters, that you can't take everything they say as gospel truth. You got to step back. You've got to ask questions. You've got to listen to your gut. You have to kind of maybe look into it a little bit. But you have to be careful. You can't just assume that because they have a microphone and they're on YouTube that what they're saying is gospel truth. Can't be, because anybody can make a YouTube video. Okay. So you have to sift through the information. I always told myself back when I worked in asset protection, during interrogations and investigations, that there were three sides to every story: yours, theirs, and the truth. When investigators separate witnesses and get witness testimony and statements about a specific incident, they're going to sift through that information and they're going to rely on the commonalities in those statements. If three people see a mugging and they all say, he ran that way, it was a man, and he was wearing a blue shirt, but one person said he was 5'3", another one said he was 6'1", another one said he was heavy, another one said he had a backpack. The commonalities in those independent individual statements are what they're going to base that investigation on. That's going to be the fact. All of the other stuff is individual perception, or what, in their world, in their environment, in their mind occurred. But if they all say he went that way, it was a he, and he was wearing a blue shirt, then you know for a fact that's more than likely absolute fact you can rely on, all right? It's the same thing with the paranormal. And when we watched it last night, we were up really late and then we went right to bed. And this morning, Douglas was very, I don't want to say he was upset or distraught, because he really wasn't, but he was doubting himself. Was this real? What, you could see, I could sense in him a feeling of self-doubt, a feeling of defeat. Like, have I been chumped my whole life? Did I experience something that wasn't what I thought it was? No. In your heart and soul, you had an experience and you associate it with ETs or ghosts or demons or whatever. And that is your truth. That is your reality. Because in reality, it did happen to you, and not the scientists, not those that are disconnected from everyone and everything in the world. It happened to you, and that is the only way that you know how to explain what happened to you. And that's why it's so important when you go into investigations that you have a little bit of knowledge about religion and how different religions perceive paranormal events. because if you go into a Christian household and they're having paranormal experiences, ghostly experiences, for example, haunting, they're going to perceive that more as demons, devils, possession. They're going to go down that route. Probably more so than a person of Jewish faith or a person of no faith, someone who is a Wiccan. They're going to think differently. So you have to kind of understand a little bit about where your clients are coming from spiritually, as well as emotionally and mentally. And science tends to forget that. They tend to close themselves off to the human element of the unexplained, of the paranormal, which is things that cannot be explained by science. I absolutely positively believe in ghosts, ETs, and yes, Bigfoot. Does that make me stupid? No. Does that make me crazy? Absolutely not. It just means that I have had experiences, and I believe that others have had experiences that can only, for them in their brain, be explained one way. And that one way is ETs, ghosts, Squatch, whatever. But what's exciting for me and others in the world of paranormal is now that we are moving into a technological age that is so advanced and sophisticated that people are capturing a lot of incidences on dash cams and door cams and so on that we didn't have before. Our film and our cameras is so precise and sophisticated now that if you know how to operate your camera, you know what to do with it, you can get clear, concise photographic and video evidence of paranormal that we could not get even 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So it's compelling, and it's not debunking, it's confirming so many paranormal experiences that so many people have. It validates what we've experienced and how it has shaped our perception of the world around us. And that's a lot more important than what a scientist with the microscope is going to tell you. Not to diminish science and microscopes, because I would love to have a microscope. Oh, that would be fun. I could read labels if I had a microscope. But we would not be where we are without science. And science keeps us, protects us, and insulates us, and educates us, and helps us understand the world from a different perspective. And we need a balanced perspective, especially when you live a paranormal life. Is every little blinky thing in the sky a UFO? No. No. But some are. Is every little shadow, shade, smoke you see out of the corner of your eye a spirit? No. But some are. Is every dream a premonition, a warning, a message? No. But some are. And again, if everything came down to science and absolute fact, life would be not worth living. It would be pretty dull. You wouldn't have religion. You wouldn't have the paranormal. You wouldn't have fantastical experiences that you could revel in and enjoy and tell your kids about. we wouldn't want to be the shining lights that we are. Life would be really dull and boring and probably not worth living for many, many, many people. And that's not to say that, oh, I'm crazy and I want to, if I'm not crazy, life's not worth living if I'm rational. No, not at all. Even the dull days of life are worth living. But if we didn't have paranormal, we would not have religion. We would not have beliefs in things greater than ourselves, be it aliens, God, or Bigfoot. How sad the world would be. So many of our holidays are based on religion and major events that have taken place through the years. We wouldn't have any of that. So the paranormal plays a really important role, a pivotal role in balancing out who we are. It's like when you have to put on your work face to go to work and be professional and on target and so on. But when you get home, you can put on those yoga pants. You can grab those Oreos. You can have a laugh or two. You can be silly. If you don't feel like cleaning your floors, don't freaking clean the damn floors. Okay? Be yourself. And you do that because we have so many parts of ourselves, and each one needs to be acknowledged and nurtured. So listen to the science, keep an open mind about the science, be respectful of the science, but understand that science is one-sided. It is a single dimension of thought. And a scientist will tell you if it can't be proven, then it's just garbage. And that's not true. If science can't prove it, it's because science doesn't know what they're dealing with just yet. And I hope that the answer to the UFO question, are there ETs? Are we alone in the universe or not? And I hope that we get those answers before my life is over. I would love to drop dead knowing for sure. So I recommend watching the film. I believe it's called the film they don't want you to see about UFOs. I think it is. And it's on YouTube. It's a YouTube film. It's very, very compelling, and there's a couple of very famous UFO stories that they debunk. And, I actually knew about one of them. I was suspicious about one of them right from the get-go, about the big setup. And if you also want to learn a little bit about paranormal debunking, there's been many, many podcasters out there that have done a lot of research and put a lot of information out about Ed and Lorraine Warren and some of the scamming that they did. And as much as I love them and I love the films, I knew that the films about their work, were embellished. They were dramatized because they were Hollywood. But I didn't realize the extent of what they were doing. And it broke my heart because I guess like ETs, we want all of it to be real. We want to be vindicated and validated and proven right. So part of keeping an open mind about the paranormal is to understand that even though you experienced it and you can't explain it, doesn't mean that it can't be explained at some point in time. It just means that right now you had an experience that can't be explained. So it's gonna be paranormal. So leave me your thoughts and your comments. If you get a chance to watch the film and leave me your opinions. I would love to know. And, until next time, keep looking to the sky. Because what's been happening lately with SpaceX and the drones and all the other crazy stuff going on, the answers are out there and they're coming hard and fast. And in this year of 2025, I think we're going to get those answers. So take care, everyone. I love you all. Until next time.